Everyone, welcome to my course where we are discussing data warehouse practicals for TY semester 6. My name is Professor Tiruk Parmar. Now, we are already done discussing this 6 practicals like configuring listener, then creating database, configuring repository and workspace, as well as logging into design center. Then in fifth practical, we are already done defining target warehouse modules, and in last practical, we are done discussing how to define dimensions. Now, as we know, after defining dimension, we go for creating a cube. What is cube? Cube is collection of two or more dimensions. So that is what we mean by a cube. So now in this particular practical, we are going to discuss about designing cubes, which is divided in two parts, or you can say some necessity which is required to design a cube. One is cube measures and second is cube dimensionality. And second part of this practical, we are going to discuss about designing mappings. So in this particular part, as you can see, design mapping between external table and dimensions. So this is what we are going to discuss in this particular lecture, or you can say practical. Let's start doing the same. Before start discussing our practical, we should have some basic knowledge about cube. So cube and dimension, I mean. The dimension becomes business characteristics about the sales. For example, if we take example of a sales of some company or any particular thing. So a time dimension, as you can see here, time dimension, users can look back in a time and check various time periods. Then if we talk about store dimension, information can be retrieved by store and location. And when we talk about this product dimension, various product for sales can be broken out. Think of a dimension as edges of a cube and intersection of dimensions as the measure we are interested in for that particular combination of three dimension, time, store and product dimension. Think of the width of this particular cube, as you can see, or a rows going across as the product dimension. Every piece of information or a measure in the same row refers to the same product. So there are as many rows in the cube as there are product. Think of height of this particular cube or a column going up and down as the store dimension. Every piece of information in a column represents one single store. So there are as many columns as there are store. Finally, think of depth of a cube as a time dimension. When we talk about depth of this particular cube, that is time dimension. So any piece of information in rows and columns at the same depth represents the same point in time. The intersection of each of these three dimensions locates a single individual cube in the big cube, and that represents the major amount we are interested in. So in this particular part, we are going to discuss about this cubes and how to draw or how to create this cube using or mapping different dimensions. Remember one thing, when we talk about mapping, we basically map source table from a destination or a target table. So we are going to fetch some data like ETL process. We are going to follow extract, transform and load. We are going to extract some data from a source location, transform it into a required format, and then load it into our target warehouse or target location table. I hope this particular point are clear. Now we will start discussing about our practical. Practical, as we know, we have to log in into design center. So how to log in into design center? Go to Oracle 11G. Under Oracle 11G, we have to click on a design center. Now design center gives us a window to log in into design center. So we'll just enter credentials through which we can log in into design center. So username, my username is BSc-IT underscore user. Then password is Oracle. I have kept password similar common for all the practical. Then host name, as we know, we are working on a local computer. The host name is localhost. Port remains same 1521, and service name is TYBSc-IT DW. As soon as we click on OK, it gives us a window that is a design center. So here, as you can see, we have this design center which is divided in three parts, which we already discussed: Project Explorer, Connection Explorer, and Global Explorer. Now we are going to start designing a cube under this particular part. Remember, we have created a project that is YouTube project. So under that, we are going to start designing our cube. So a cube contains measures and link to one or more dimension. The axis of a cube contains dimension values and the body of the cube contains measure value. In a relational implementation, a cube is linked to dimension table by foreign key constraints. Remember, foreign key constraint. Constraint means a condition and consists of set of measures. To create a cube, we must have to define cube measures and cube dimensionality. So let's start with that. So where we have to go to first database. Under database, we have to go to Oracle. Under that, we have to go to expense warehouse, and then we will click on cube. As you can see, under expense warehouse, click on an option that is cubes. Under that, we have to click on new and using wizard. As soon as we click on a wizard, it gives us a welcome page, as you can see here. Now it basically divided in four parts. First, we are going to provide name and description, then set storage type for a dimension, choose the dimension of a cube, and specify measures in a cube. So let's start with this. So as you can see, we are going to provide a name. So we'll provide a name. Sorry, keep it in a capital only. So we'll write it REL underscore expense. Now click on next. As soon as we click on next, as you can see, it gives us a storage type in which they are going to store it. So ROLAP, remember relational storage, to specify relational implementation of a cube. Then click on next. So as soon as we click on next, it gives us this particular type, that is, on the dimension page, you select a dimension that a cube will refer to in available dimension list. Expand dimensions. Under dimension, then expand expense warehouse, select expense warehouse, and then click to move to a two dimension, that is real category and real name. Remember, real category, we are going to move to this particular part, that is selected dimension. How? By clicking on this particular part. So click on here. So this dimension, that is expense warehouse, under that real category and time dimension, category and time, these two dimensions are selected. Now click on next. Under this, as you can see, it gives us an option, select expense warehouse first and then click on move, and then it gives us this particular type of a table where we are going to create or where we are going to add one particular measure here. So under this major particular window, enter expense under this name, that is a name field, and accept data type, or you can say by default it gives us a data type, that is number. Keep it same and click on next. So as soon as we click on next, it gives us a summary page. So here as you can see, name, reference dimension, measures, table, column, foreign key constraints. Remember, constraints means condition. So we have a foreign key type of a condition where we are going to link our primary table or a main table, under which we have one column which is defined as primary key constraint with another table like a foreign key constraint. So cube aggregation method, that is sum. So we are going to create or we are going to define a cube. So this is a definition, like we write a definition for table, the same way this is a definition for our cube. Click on finish. So as soon as we click on finish, as you can see, under cube we have now this particular cube dimension which is defined. To view cube in a data object editor, we just need to right click and select open editor, or double click on this expense cube. Still it will work. So under that, click on right click on this and then click on open editor. So as you can see, we have this particular design which is ready. How it is ready? Because we have designed a cube. And now we have to save all these things, remember. So go to this particular choice, that is save all, and click on save all. I hope this particular part is clear. Now in now onwards we'll start designing mapping. Remember, now we are starting with second part of this practical, that is designing mapping. So what is mapping? Mapping means extract data from a source, transform the data and load the data into target module. So which is our expense warehouse, under expense warehouse, which you have defined in a previous practical, or we have defined in a previous practical. So let's start with the same. So designing a mapping between external table and dimension in a project explorer, that is our YouTube project explorer. Here we have to expand database, under database expand Oracle, under Oracle expand expense warehouse, and under that we have a option that is mapping. Note that when we expand this, we can see a real-time map, that is mapping, which was automatically created during Oracle Warehouse Builder, when which we are already working in a previous practical. So here what we need to do, go to mapping. As you can see, we have this real-time map which was automatically created during with the help of Oracle Warehouse Builder. Now right click on this mapping and then click on new. Remember, click on new. So here we are going to give a name. So in a create mapping window, enter a name. So we are going to enter, we are creating this mapping for a category. So we'll give real time category mapping and click on OK. So as soon as we click on OK, it gives us this particular mapping editor. Remember, in a project explorer we are already done. Now mapping editor is launched. Under this mapping editor, from a palette, as you can see, we have a palette, drag dimension operator. So we'll just look for a dimension operator and we have to add it on this canvas. So click on here and add it into canvas. So remember, here it will gives us the option which particular dimension we have to add here. So we have to click on category and then click on OK. Remember, we are going to add a category here because we are creating this mapping for a real-time category. So as you can see, from a corner you can just extend its size as well, so it is visible enough for all the columns and its names. So we have category, under category we have ID, name, description, and type. We have ID, name, description, category ID, and category name. Once we are done with this, then expand this particular explorer part. Remember, under explorer part, always available object should be selected, then only you can view this particular part. If selected object comes, then it gives us some other view. So remember, under explorer, always keep available objects selected. Then from this we have to click on expense warehouse, under that external table, and from that expense category, drag it to canvas. So under this we have this two columns, you can say, under output group 1. You can just make it properly as well, and if you double click on it, it gives us this particular external table editor where we can just change their attribute name as well. So in a previous practical we have already allotted name to this particular two column, but if it does not show during mapping, then you can edit it from here as well, like I did. So just give the name. For example, to first we'll give expense type and second to expense category. And then just click on OK. Now we'll start a mapping here. So as you can see, click on this particular arrow which is shown here and keep your mouse clicked and then click on second arrow. So that is how we are going to map it. Click here, drag this particular mouse to a next or a second target table. So what it does, it basically mapping expense time column with name column which is present in a real category. Then same way we are going to map other particular column. Just increase the size of canvas so that you can easily map the things. Then click on expense category and then we are going to map it with a description column under real category. Same way we'll do other mappings as well. As you can see, again expense category I'm mapping under category name column, and keep it here so that we can easily see which particular columns are we are mapping with which particular column in a target table. So this is source and this is target. Then expense category we are linking or mapping it with description. Same way expense category mapping with category name under type. And once we are done with this, then go to mapping, or you can also click on this particular icon here, or go to mapping and then press F5 or click on generate, and here it generates a code. Remember, it generates automatically, it generates a script, you can say, for the mapping which we have done. So connection lines graphically represents how the data flow from source through operators and to a target. Now we have just completed designing mapping, and as soon as we click on mapping and generate, now we have generated a code that loads the dimension based on ETL logic. ETL, that is extract, transform and load logic, that we have designed in this particular mapping. Warehouse builder generates the code required to implement our design. I hope this particular point is clear. You can also look at here. So we have script, messages and few other details. You can also increase the size of the same to view it properly. I hope this particular part is clear. Now we will start with next particular part of our practical. You can close it from here, click OK. And now we'll start with the second part of our practical, that is design a mapping between external table and a cube. So again we'll start with this particular second external table. Go to mapping, new, same way. Under that, now we'll give our second table's name, that is real expense map. This is our name for a mapping. As you can see, the process goes the same way. Under here we have Oracle, expense, Oracle warehouse, expand. Then under external table, we are going to start now with expense data. Drag it on canvas. This is our table. You can just expand it to view all the columns properly. Now we have real expense cube. So we already dragged that cube as well on our canvas. So as you can see, this is our cube, this is our table, external table. You can just increase the size of our canvas to view it properly. Then expand this particular part here. As you can see, from palette we are going to add expressions here. So just expand this palette here as I'm doing. Sorry, here you go. So expand this palette, and under that palette just find for expressions, as you can see, and drag it on canvas. So this expressions helps us to connect our external table with our cube. Now just arrange it properly so that we can map it properly and it looks proper as well. Remember, design should be proper so that we can view which particular column are connecting with which particular type. Now once we are done with this particular part, then we'll connect expense date with input category. Remember, expression operator is used to transform expense date attribute in expense data external table from a date type to a number data type. The target attribute in a cube is a number data type. Therefore, this data type conversion is required to match data type. Drag connection from expense date and click on this particular expression. So as you can see, we now have expense date expression one column added here. The same way will continue. Now right click on, first click on expression head of this, right click on it and click on open details. So as you can see, once we click on open details, it gives us this particular editor, that is expression editor. Under expression editor, click on output attribute. So under output attribute, it gives us a way to add more attributes here. So we just need to click on add. So as you can see, it gives us output. A name of by default attribute is output 1. Change it to expense date and keep the data type, that is number only. And then just click on OK. So as you can see, we have expense date here. Now this particular expense date, we are going to, before doing that, just remember, in mapping editor, click on a expression operator header and select output group under that expense date. So as soon as we click that, you can see some additions or some attribute properties are highlighted here. Under this, what we need to do, in the attribute property panel, click the field next to expression property and click ellipse button on extreme right. As you can see, we have, just a second. So under front of expression, we have this particular button, click on it and then it gives us expression builder. And now you just need to write what expression I am writing here. As it is, you have to write the same expressions. First click on this expense date, select it and then write expression for the same. So I'm going to write expression 2 underscore number. What we are doing, we are converting. Enter following statement as it is, what I am doing. So 2 underscore number, comma 2 underscore char init group dot expense underscore date, and then we'll write a date format. Date format is year, month and date. And same way we'll give a number for the same. And then remember, we have 4y, 2mm and 2dd, that is total 8. So we have to enter 9 8 times. Remember, these are 8 nines. And once we are done with this, then we'll validate this expression. It should show success. If success is not shown, that means there might be some error. So validation successful. So we are done with validation. Then click on OK. After doing validation, now drag a connection line from expense date to real time day code, as you can see here. Then same way, we have to drag one more line from expense type. Remember, from expense type, drag a line to real category name. And then finally, from reimbursable amount to this particular expense column. Remember. And now once we are done with this particular part, then what we need to do, we need to click on generate. Remember, warehouse builder generates a code required to implement your design. The generation result window appear. The generation window display the code that has been generated for you. Sorry, just one mistake which I have done here. actually I have added one more column, one more attribute, that is output attribute. So I'll just double click on it, output attribute, and just delete this particular attribute, remove it, click OK. So now we have only one attribute, and now just click on generate your code. So it will generate the same, or you can directly press F5. So as you can see, our code is generated. So here we are done with our practical number 7, that is mapping, and save all. We can just save it all, and we are done with this particular part. In next practical, we'll continue our discussion where we are going to discuss about deploying objects in target warehouse. Thank you.